Excellent. An ale for me. And for my officers. In fact, ales for everyone.
10 Backward. With Rick and Will and Gemma.
Oh, yes.
Hello and welcome to 10 Backward, a UK-based Star Trek podcast, based here in the UK, featuring myself, Will Turland, a lady to the right of me, Gemma Turland.
Hello.
A man over the magic of the internet, it's called Rick Palmer.
Joe Lantrue.
Yay!
Nice.
Nice.
And another man, Rick Everson.
What?
Rick Everson?
Rick Everson?
What the hell? He's not here.
What's
happened?
What's happened? Where's he gone? I can't think of any relevant.
I wish I'd thought of a Star Trek-based thing that he was caught up in. But I haven't. Rick Palmer, do you have any?
Has he been exposed as an artificial human and has been disappeared by? What's the face?
The Jacques Vash. Jacques Vash.
Jack Vash.
I don't know. He's poorly. In the real world?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they want you to believe. Have you spoken to him personally?
That is exactly
or have you
what
been?
what Jack Vash would want you to think.
Jack Vash has got control of WhatsApp. There's bots.
Okay.
Well, ironically, bots running all of his communications.
Oh, they wouldn't allow that.
Well, they don't mind AI. Don't know.
No, they seemingly don't mind AI.
Oh,
but
well,
they
no.
hate synthetics.
Well, no, that's Starfleet, isn't it?
Yes.
I was going to ask if is it okay to make a joke about Rick Everson having coronavirus, but
Well,
oh, goodness.
Well, Rick Everson was making that himself. He was
That's
joking
true.
about that himself.
Yeah.
But whether or not we can do it in podcast form, you've kind of already done it.
If in like 3 or 4 episodes time, Rick Everson is dead from coronavirus, then I think I'll edit it out. We've talked about it here, but otherwise we'll keep it. We'll keep it.
Yeah.
it's funny watching the news stories about coronavirus. There's part of me thinking that these newsreaders and journalists are going, wouldn't it be great if it there was like a mass outbreak and terror spread across the world, because that would make me as a journalist. I wonder if the dead started to rise. It's because that's how it is in the movies.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to say that
the people on the on all the cruise ships, and they're trying to really ramp up the tension and saying, what's it like? Is it like some sort of hell on earth?
Are there any zombies?
Tell us about the
they're always
zombies.
like, no, it's all right.
Yeah,
It's not that bad, really.
the food's got a bit boring, but
It's all right. It's understandable, isn't it? It's a sensible precaution. Well, everyone's really reasonable about it. And you can just hear the desperation in a journalist's voice, but they're like, come on, freak out. But anyway, we're here. We're not here to talk about current events.
pish, of course not.
We are here to talk about a current event, which is episode 4 of the TV show Star Trek Picard, which we've all literally just watched. I have to confess, I've got a little routine where I watch it at about 11 o'clock at night when it pops on Amazon Prime on a Thursday, and then I re-watch it with you, Gemma.
Indeed.
Just before doing the podcast.
And
I'm really enjoying that little ritual.
Good. And I knew prior to watching it that you really liked it because of how you had a dream and spoke in your sleep about how much. Oh yes, it's really good actually. And I knew that you were talking about.
I did do that. Yeah.
Wait. Did you have a dream about reviewing this episode?
I think I did. I think I had a dream about it. I think it was a dream about at least talking about Star Trek Picard. But
someone asking you if you enjoyed it. So, yes, it's good actually.
It was way more manly than that when I said it in my sleep. Anyway. So Rick, what did you make of this episode?
Well, like you guys, I really enjoyed it. I think it had a really nice. The last few episodes have started with a flashback to around the time of the attack on Mars and things that are happening around that time. And in this episode, we get that again, but we get it starts on a colony, a Romulan colony that's happened after the events of the supernova. And I thought that was a really strong start to the episode. I loved all that stuff. I thought it was excellent because it touched on some. It touched on some sort of Picard lore. I think I have to admit, I really enjoyed it when they said to his face how he didn't like children, because that goes all the way back to the very first episode of TNG.
Yeah. I felt exactly the same. As soon as they mentioned that, I was like, brilliant. Encounter at Farpoint.
I'm not a family man, Riker, and yet Starfleet has given me a ship with children aboard.
Yes, sir.
And I don't feel comfortable with children.
You're making the Admiral uncomfortable, Elnor. He dislikes displays of emotion. He's not overly fond of children.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And all that stuff was really good, and the introduction of elements of Romulan culture is very interesting. I like the warrior nuns. I thought all his stuff with Elnor. Is it Elnor, the young guy when he was a kid? Is it Elgor?
I think so. Or is it Elgor? Elnor.
Elgor.
It's not Al Gore.
It's Al Gore. But yeah, I thought it started really strongly. I loved all that stuff, and in general, I thought it was an excellent episode. It carried the story forward. We get to see more stuff in space. We get to see, as the episode progresses, we get some exposition about what's been happening in that area of space, and it did a lot. I think it does. This series seems to do a good job of kind of bringing the viewer up to speed, both the person that's watched TNG before and the viewer who's new to this. So I liked it. Yeah. There is one thing that I have noticed myself thinking in the last few episodes is that I really don't think that the Federation ceasing the mission to save the Romulans after that attack, I can kind of see why they did that. Like I can see how there was a reaction to that incident. And that's kind of presented as in a way of the Federation abandoning this project, this mission to help save the Romulans, which I guess in a way it is. But and I speak as someone who is wary of the Federation, but I mean that's the only thing I can think of watching these episodes is where I've kind of thought, it's not a negative, but it's just something I think about when I've watched the last few episodes when they discuss this. What happened 14 years ago?
Well, I think that's interesting because it feels like it's a sort of a real world situation actually, in that there are sort of two sides to that. Well, maybe more than two sides to that story, and many different factors that led to that decision that the Federation pulled out of helping the Romulans, and it feels like a sort of a realistic political situation where there isn't necessarily a sort of a right or wrong answer. But I think the show presents, I guess we get to see, particularly in this episode, we get to see the Romulans suffering from the withdrawal of that help. And I guess the show is very much from Picard's point of view, and he was very much of the opinion that the Federation was wrong to not to be helping the Romulans, and so we're kind of with him in that respect. But yeah, I don't know. I take your point on that, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, it was not. I'm sorry.
You go.
Yeah, like I say, it wasn't a negative point as such. It's just something I've noticed is that kind of aspect to it, is that it does seem like they're in the story it's painted as a sort of a Federation abandonment of the Romulans, whereas like we were saying, considering what happened on Mars, it seems in a way, like in some way, a reasonable decision, at least initially. I don't know. I don't know if we'll explore that. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, I really liked it. I did chuckle at the. I did chuckle when he goes back to the planet Vashti, and there's a Romulan's only sign. I like.
Yes.
Why is it in English?
Well,
Humans, sorry, of course.
There's no point in telling.
I guess so. Yeah,
non-Romulans something in Romulan. Like what?
No, you're right. As soon as I said that, I realised why. No, it's cool. But yeah, that made me chuckle. It's like, damn.
I like how he just picked it up and threw it. He was obviously.
Oh, he was looking for trouble,
orchestrating a fight there. Oh, whoops.
Oh, this sign's fallen on the floor. What are you going to do about that?
Fallen on the floor.
Romulan. I'm not a Romulan. I'm going to sit down.
Sit down here, dust off this table.
Waiter, I'll have a glass of Chateau Picard, the 86, please.
You don't have it, you say? Well, I just happened to bring a bottle along. So,
I've got this weird little string bag. Rotate it so that you can see the labels. But I was going to say, do you think every episode is going to start with a flashback to the Mars event?
And enlarging on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I guess that's how they're going to tell the story of the Mars event, isn't it? I mean, obviously, they're going to encounter things or people that were involved in it, but
it does feel like every episode we're getting a slightly different viewpoint of what happened there. But quite often Picard's involved.
Indeed.
I like it.
Anyway,
What did you guys think about that? What happened in this episode? Because at the end of episode 3, we were all set. We thought to go to Free Cloud. I mean, in this episode, we find out that Picard's just come up to the captain and gone, "Can we please go to Vashti, please? And don't tell anyone.
Definitely don't go
because they want to be surprised by it."
And annoyed.
Annoyed.
I would say early on in the episode, I was a bit like, okay, so this is another delay to the actual point of the story, and I felt kind of a little bit annoyed by it at first, but then actually, I like you were saying, Rick, I really enjoyed it was like a real kind of deep dive into Romulan culture in this episode, and it again reminded me of how we don't know all that much about the Romulans in the rest of what we've seen in Star Trek, and it was great to see. We talked about the Romulan relocation and the trouble that they've had and stuff, but we'd not seen it yet on screen, and it was great that we got to go to a planet and see a Romulan colony. And I really enjoyed all that stuff, and I really liked the lady warrior nuns.
Oh, they're so cool.
Yeah, they're pretty badass, and they've recruited a dude nun who can't really be. He can't really be an official warrior nun.
Being a man, he can never really be one of them.
Yeah, that was an interesting kind of subversion of like the stereotype of
the usual
warriors, isn't it? I liked that because it didn't feel heavy-handed. It felt like just a matter of a fact.
Yes,
that's their culture, and in their culture they have female warrior nuns, and dudes can't be dude warrior nuns, and that's
it was so matter of fact, wasn't it? It was so
it didn't feel.
And I liked their ethos of complete honesty, candor, which is opposed to the usual Romulan society.
No 3-star no 3-star TripAdvisor reviews. It's either 1 star or 5 stars. Superb. This was dreadful. That's it.
Worst trip ever. Best trip ever.
It doesn't have to be extremes.
No, I know, but I get because the way they talk about it is it's like as soon as the sort of thought or
I
emotion
understand.
enters your mind, you
I
say it, don't you?
understand what
No, but I'm
absolute
saying,
candor means.
but that's how they. I'm saying that's how they describe it in the episode, isn't it? But as
nothing between thought and speech, right?
What's the way of absolute candor?
It's their primary teaching. Total communication of emotion without any filter between thought and word.
as
sorry.
the
not Tilly.
The not Tilly, but kind of quite a lot like Tilly. Doctor character says, "Can that just kind of get really annoying?"
Yeah. Which, it would.
What did you guys think of? So there was a scene quite early on where we're on the ship, but we're kind of back in Chateau Picard.
They really want to use that set, don't they?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I was thinking. I was like, they are not done with this set, are they?
Mm.
A minor nitpick I had on that scene is that when Picard paused the simulation, the fire didn't pause. Only the birds paused.
Mm. That isn't a minor nitpick, though, is it? That's
big
quite fundamental, isn't it?
I think I'm not going to watch the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's done.
It is stupid.
If you pause it, can you pick something up off the desk?
I don't know. I think we've probably discussed in previous podcasts how inconsistent the rules of the holodeck are. So it's nice to see that holodeck rules are still 100% inconsistent in Picard.
I'm getting a little bit annoyed. We've seen 2 more holographic characters on that ship now.
Oh, and you're not loving those guys.
Although I don't hate the what was it at the end? What was he like at the battle?
He was like a
defense.
He was the phaser
firing one, the grumpy Spanish phaser firing one.
Yeah,
I didn't like him, but
because
it just saves on paying actors, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's a bit of a jiff that way.
I liked that in that simulation he was the hologram who showed up was a what did they call it? Hospitality hologram.
Yes, yeah.
But then as soon as the rough tough pilot guy showed up,
he ran away.
He just disappeared, and that guy was like, "Hey, that fucking hologram." I really like that.
Yeah.
I hate that fucking hospitality hologram.
Maybe it's like when he got that hologram software. He didn't know how to set it properly. Now it's stuck, like it's stuck on some annoying settings. Like he can't get like, the settings for what he wants because it's just really complicated. So he's stuck with all these holograms looking like him. And
it's like, oh, what have I done? Why do they all look like me?
Maybe he's got like the sort of like the trial version, and he doesn't want to pay to unlock the full version, so he's kind of stuck with like the sort of defaults.
Oh, they all look like me.
But he's like, I'm not going to pay $14.99 a month. I'm not an idiot. These will do.
I'll just swear at them. That'll help. But I do think that they're getting a good sort of ensemble together. They're getting a little crew together. I like that, and I do think it's working. I do think Picard with new characters is working. Maybe a little better than I thought it would. I don't know. I mean, I was never too worried about that, but there was a part of me that was a little sad, perhaps, that some of the people from TNG weren't involved. But I've been proved wrong. Those characters do. Like Patrick Stewart does have good chemistry with those characters. I feel like they're each functioning as an important part of the story and that crew. So especially the cool Romulan warrior guy. He was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was pretty cool.
I like Space Elf.
Yeah. Going back,
he has not disappointed me.
I think it was something you called out, Gemma, that it was pretty obvious. As soon as you got to that first scene and Picard was hanging out with him as a kid.
Especially at the point where they're practicing the
fencing.
What's the word? Fencing, yes. That was bang.
You were like, well, of course he's going to be Space Elf.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind. I think that's just a case of the trailers.
Not everything has to be a surprise.
No,
it can
no.
be. It's fine if a story says, "Oh, hi, this is going to be. He's going to be this guy," that you've seen. That's not a problem. I don't think with the story.
I'm going back to that early scene actually, and what Rick was saying about how it's called out that Picard hates children. I really liked that, and then I liked how in that scene Picard was kind of really warm and came across like a granddad. Yeah, and I really liked that, and it made me think of a scene in Generations where Picard discovers that his whole family is burnt to death in a fire in a barn.
Dear.
It's like, hooray, welcome to the TNG movies. And it I don't know, it wasn't a brilliant decision in Generations to do that. I think it does feel a bit too obvious that it was to give Patrick Stewart a chance to do some acting. But that being said, there's a great scene in Generations where Picard sits down with Troy and talks about how cut up he is about the death of his nephew, and he talks about how it never really bothered him too much that he didn't have a family or that he hadn't had kids because he had his nephew there, and his nephew was kind of like the son he never had, and he knew his nephew would carry on the Picard name, and then he was really cut up when his nephew was burned to death. Obviously because he was sad because he died, but also because it hit him really hard that he suddenly realized that he'd sort of run out of time in a way to have his own family, and it just reminded him of how he didn't have a son, and I really liked in this episode we kind of see Picard really warming to that young boy, like a kind of a father figure to him, and it just, I don't know, it all just felt like everything was right with Picard's character. All of the things that were happening slotted right into his character as a completely logical extension from everything we'd seen of him in the past, and it, I really, really liked that. So it was great.
And I also liked that when everything went wrong and he left Starfleet, he never saw him again. The same with Raffi, and both characters pulled him up on that. Raffi!
Which they opposed.
Raffi.
No, never
Raffi.
again. No, go. Don't.
Raffi.
No, don't. Just don't touch me.
Raffi. Raffi.
And both characters pulled him up on that. What?
Yeah.
Now you need me.
Yeah.
You're here.
And they both sort of said a similar thing to him. So and I kind of like that. Maybe Picard's been a bit of a dick, in the last, and sort of he sort of retreated.
He retreated.
Into himself
he was heartbroken and he retreated.
Yeah.
Whereas, what was the nun said?
I allowed the perfect to become the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
Perfect was defeated by good, something like that.
Something like that.
I can't remember. Yeah.
But he sort of shown that he ran away. He maybe could have done more, but he chose not to.
Yeah. I'm really liking what they're doing with the character of Picard.
Yeah.
It just feels right to me. It feels like it's consistent with what we've seen before, and a logical extension of what we've seen before, and really good.
So, what about the stuff, the other plot line that we've got on the artifact?
Well, I'm gonna say,
well, it kind of stalled a bit, didn't it? In this episode, it was more of a reminder that they're there.
Yeah, to me, this was the first time where I felt like the scenes on the Borg cube added nothing to the story other than, yeah, as you say, a reminder that those characters are there, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
there was that
go.
tiny little thing about I can't what's her name? Not all I can remember is that she's not Daj.
She's not Daj. She's Daj 2.0.
Daj 2.0. Tousled one.
Narek.
Yeah, confronted her with the knowledge that she wasn't on a flight that she remembers being on.
Yeah.
That she
is it Soji? Is Soji the other?
Is it Soji? This rings a bell.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just that little fact. I think for me that was the only point of interest to take away from that.
Yeah, it did feel aside
storyline.
from that we were kind of just reiterating where we are with those characters.
But we did get a news a TV Romulan, like a Romulan TV interview that Soji was watching.
Oh yeah,
featuring the Romulan. That Romulan lady before she got assimilated, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And she was
talking about
she was talking about that prophecy.
Yeah.
I think, and saying that the destroyer, who she called, which she refers to Soji as, is some kind of being that will awaken an army of demons or something. Yeah. And that made me think that sounds sort of like the Borg or something. It sounds like
yeah.
So it seems like
that's how they.
Gemma, sorry.
So that's how the sister referred to her at the end of that sequence as well. So that's obviously what the Jacques Vache believe.
The sexy Romulan sister. You're not a fan of her.
I'm not a fan of her. I'm not a fan of that character. I'm not a fan of that dynamic. I'm sick of that dynamic in things.
Oh,
the kind of the pseudo incestuous power play between siblings. It's lazy and it's annoying.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it too much, but I do feel like there isn't much to a character at the moment yet, other than I'm a sexy Romulan villain.
Ooh, look at me now.
I'm so evil, but I'm also sexy. I'm like, but what are you adding to this to the narrative?
Yeah,
sweet cakes. But Rick? What did you think of the scene where the characters did some sock sliding down a corridor, and then they were all like romantic with each other?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't hate it. I kind of, I don't know. I wasn't sure that it really added very much to the episodes. That's all.
Yeah, I think maybe I hated it. But
you didn't hate it the first time you watched it.
No, you're right. Didn't hate it the first time I watched it, but the second time when that bit came on, I was like, "Oh, do you know what? I'm going to get another glass of wine. This is my time to exit." But I don't know. No, hate it is a strong word. It's not like it kind of ruined the episode for me or anything like that. I just felt like it. I don't know. It fell a bit flat for me. I just sort of thought, do we need another scene that is just telling us that these characters have feelings for each other? I felt like I knew that already.
Or do they?
I know what you mean. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this is a very specific reference.
Excellent.
But you know, some listeners will know what we're on about. So in the second season of Alan Partridge, Alan Partridge's assistant is talking to Alan about her and a date she went on, and they got caught in some rain, and she's really excited about it, and she's excited about what happened when they got caught in the rain, and for them it was a very exciting special moment. But Alan Partridge just doesn't get it, and he's like, "Lynn, you're talking about weather or something like that. You're laughing at weather," and he just doesn't get it. And I can imagine if Soji and Narek were talking about this going. And to trying to explain to anyone else about how special it was that they slid on their socks in the Borg cube, you're like, Jesus, it's just what?
You're talking about socks. You're talking about a health and safety situation in a corridor. That corridor should have been off limits if it was so slippery.
Exactly. It's a hell. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point, actually.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, they could have fallen over.
Stupid corridor. Why would the Borg have a slippy corridor?
Well, maybe they used to grit it, and everyone's asleep now. Aren't they?
Maybe that's a good point.
I guess they didn't. I guess they never took their shoes off, so they wouldn't have been. I mean, Narek was lying when he said it was like a Borg ritual.
Borg wear shoes?
Maybe they have all like gunky implants all over their feet, so they
sticky implants.
Yes, they don't slide about.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I mean, I know that Borg have their arms changed for specific tasks, but I think they're
teeth brushing, toilet cleaning. All sorts of stuff.
Picking stones out of horses' hooves.
Yeah. But yeah, I did feel that in this episode, I didn't feel like the plot on the Borg cube moved along massively. But I felt like all of the great stuff on that Romulan colony, the story there was really strong. So I didn't mind that the Borg cube stuff wasn't particularly pacey or essential this time. What did you guys think to the bit where Picard he seems to be deliberately trying to cause some trouble in that Romulans only bar. What do you guys think what was your take on his motivation?
I was assuming he was trying to create a situation where the guy would have to come and save him. That was my assumption. Not that he was just kicking off and causing trouble because he felt like it. I'm gonna mess with these guys. Because I am pissed off.
He just downed a bottle of the 86. And he was like, right, get this fucking no Romulan sign on the floor. Let's have it, guys. I'm 80. No, I agree. I don't think it was. I think you're right. That seemed to be his motivation to me, that he wanted to get himself in a situation that would force his warrior nun dude friend to step in. And what did you think, Rick?
I have to admit, I thought maybe he just kind of was just a bit fed up, and he was like, I don't give a shit anymore. And he was annoyed by that sign, and he thought, no, I'm not going to. I want to drink. I've had a terrible day. I've got some money, so I can pay for it. And I don't know. I think you guys are probably right. I thought maybe it was more that he was back where in a place where he was going to offer sort of salvation, and he hadn't been able to. And I don't know. I imagine Picard is still somebody that bears the responsibility of the Federation's failings on his own shoulders to an extent. Even though he's kind of split from them, he takes a personal responsibility for what happened. And I don't think it was that level of gravity that made him go to that bar. I just got the sense that he was just a bit fed up and annoyed about what had happened, and he was just like, this is I think he kind of wanted to make a point, but from what you guys.
Well, that's interesting you said that, because I asked the question because that was my initial thought. What you said, Gemma, that was his motivation to kind of manipulate, in a way, his Romulan warrior nun friend to get involved. But actually, then I kind of thought, well, is that a bit irresponsible for Picard? Is that really what he would do? And I don't know.
But the whole thing was irresponsible. The whole landing on this planet was irresponsible, causing trouble. He also. Do you think there was an element of hurt pride, because there was the quip that Raffi made early on about them having statues to him on this planet?
Fine. Let's go to Vashti. Check out that big statue of you. I mean, they must have put up at least one.
Do you think when he went down there and saw how, not only had it not worked out, that there was hostility towards him, do you think there was an element of hurt pride?
That's an interesting point, because there is that bit where when they arrive there, Raffi can't get them through the planetary shield, can she?
No.
And he says, "Well, just telephone them and say, old Picard is here." And she was like, "Dude, I tried that. That's the first thing I tried." And he's like, "Oh." So yeah, you might be right. Actually, I think maybe there was an element of hurt pride, and that seemed to be playing out in the scene when he first goes down there. He says hello to everyone in Romulan, and everyone's like, "Fuck off, you terror bastard." Yeah, so you might be right there, because it did seem like it was maybe a bit irresponsible for Picard to get himself into a sort of a potentially a bar fight situation where someone might get killed, and then someone got killed.
Yeah, and then he got really cross with him because he killed him. It's like, well, I'm an assassin.
Yeah, that.
I know what I do.
Oh no, but you know what? I liked.
I know.
Because
I know.
Again, I thought that was consistent with Picard's character. While I did think when Space Elf stepped in and murdered a man for Picard, I did find myself thinking, is that how Picard wanted the situation to go down? Would Picard wait a minute, is Picard the diplomat okay with seeing a man murdered in front of him? And I really liked when they got back to the ship. Yeah. It turns out, no, he wasn't that cool with that. He wasn't completely unreasonable about it, but he got pretty stern.
He did.
And he said,
gave him a right telling off.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm in charge. I'm your captain. Don't do any. Don't do any murders unless I say so." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough."
Now you listen to me carefully. I will benefit by your skill and your courage, but if you bind yourself to my cause, I will tell you when to fight and when to refrain.
And I liked that. Again, I thought that was another... that was like an important moment for Picard's character, just a reminder that Picard isn't out there he doesn't want to see people killed. And he did have some sympathy, I think, for that ex-Romulan senator.
Yes, yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
I also I really liked it felt like in that situation we were going to build up to a sort of a bar fight where there'd be some elaborate martial arts sequence which would showcase Space Elf's skills.
Yes.
But actually we didn't get that. We had a quite a quick, short sequence which ended in a violent beheading.
Yeah.
But I liked that because it felt very. It felt like he was like a samurai, and he was getting straight to the.
He's a ninja. He's not a samurai.
I think he's more like a samurai.
He's not a samurai. He's an assassin.
Can we say he's
He's no.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a.
Samurais don't jump around, for one thing. They stand firm.
But he doesn't have like it. Well, I suppose he does have a master. Or does he have a master? Isn't a samurai?
It's more like, I mean, that order of nuns are a bit more like the Knights Templar, aren't they? Because they protect people on, I think.
Yeah, they do.
I mean,
that's one of the things they do. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think they're kind of a blend of all of those, aren't they? I mean, I get confused between ninjas and samurais because they seem to have, transferable skills.
Samurais were like knights. They were soldiers.
But were they knights who didn't have a cause? I thought.
No.
What's that? Let's say what's the name? There's a name for a samurai without a master. Ronin.
Ronin, yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. That is exactly what
Yeah.
I was thinking of. Yeah.
But
You're
yeah.
right.
And
And
I guess ninjas are more stealthy, aren't they? Their
Yeah.
skills are hiding and
They're
sneaking.
Yeah.
But there's an element of a kind of a Shaolin monk to him as well because of the whole monastery thing. But anyway, whatever kind of confused headcanon I have around what kind of martial artist I think he is,
Well,
I liked that he was
a completely different culture. So,
but I like that his fighting style was quick and brutal and efficient and to the point. That felt like that made him more of a badass warrior than someone who would be like doing flips and stuff. Oh wait, he did do a flip, but
yeah.
My point is, it was quick. I thought it was good.
It was an efficient flip.
Yeah, super efficient, and a spin.
It was a good spin.
Did you guys because in this episode, the captain, is it Cristobal? What's his name? Cristobal Rios? Is that it? Rios. He's talking about what's happening in the sort of the sector where Vashti is. He's talking about how it's ruled by some guy who's got an old Klingon bird of prey.
Yeah. Well, he says an old bird of prey, doesn't he? He doesn't say it's
an old bird of prey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't say and I have to admit, so I'm not quick on the uptake sometimes with these things. I didn't think that we might see it, but we did, and that was really cool.
Yeah,
that was great, and that was cool. That was a great thing to do.
I love that it was like an old original series style Romulan bird of prey as well. I think it was.
Yeah. It's the ones we see in is Errand of Mercy? I think we see them there.
Is
that the one? The one where we? Yeah. Is that where we see one of them? I might be getting.
I think so. Or which one is? Or is it Balance of Terror?
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Is that the one where it's kind of like a submarine kind of based? Yeah. It's like it's effectively the two ships are submarines and they can't sort of see each other, but they're both really close by, and it's really tense. And it's really brilliant.
Rick Everson would know, but
he would.
Unfortunately, he's full of coronavirus. So
wow. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
He's not.
No.
Well, he might be.
Yeah, we don't know, but
I'm sure he'll pull through.
Yeah.
So we get the excitement of an attack from a Romulan bird of prey, which is really cool. But then a little tiny ship shows up.
What?
And you're like, what the hell is that ship? And they kind of work together and they kind of slice a wing off the bird of prey, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
And then like that ship gets damaged, and so Picard says, "Oh, let's beam him over.
Go on,
save his life."
Beam him
Captain
over.
Rios is like, "Okay, we'll beam him over," and they beam him over. But it's not a dude; it's a lady.
A lady. It's not only any old lady.
It's flipping 7 of 9.
You owe me a ship, Picard.
That was pretty awesome.
That's so cool. And she was like, "You owe me a ship, Picard," and then she passed out.
He's so cool.
Episode end.
A little bit cheesy, but cool.
I love. You're right. It was a little bit cheesy, but I love that it rode right to the edge of cheese. Because
it, gave it a good licking.
But at the very end of cheese is 100% awesome, and that's what it hit. I think for me, it was it just held back from going too far into cheese nonsense and kept it on the right side of awesome.
So it looks like she's going to be a long-term character then.
Well, I guess
she's part of the motley crew.
We don't know, but that does seem to be what the setup could be. I would really love it if that was the case.
And it seems like they've clearly met each other before, judging by the interaction.
I guess he would know who she is, wouldn't he?
And she might know who he is.
Yeah,
but
he's Jean-Luc Picard, and she's 7 of 9.
And
so they're
Locutus
gonna,
a Borg, she
yeah,
would
they're
know
gonna
him.
know who each other are at least.
But it felt to me, and I might be reading too much into the performance, but the way they spoke to each other, it felt like they had met before.
Yeah,
They
it
did.
belied a bit of familiarity. I felt anyway.
Yeah.
And she obviously, helped them for a reason, I guess.
Yeah.
But then, they could just have.
Maybe she'd been
similar-
tracking that bird of prey for the last 6 months, and she was going to
Oh,
take it
yeah,
down.
because they mentioned that something I forgot to mention, the whole Rangers thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that I
Yeah.
liked that. It was a nice little bit of
Yeah.
subtle world building
Mm.
and a throwaway comment that made you go, "Ooh, I'm interested in that."
But the Kira sector is in the Fenris Rangers territory.
Was. The Rangers just do not have the resources to keep up with the chaos out there anymore.
Because Fenris, because they call the Fenris Rangers, and Fenris is a character from Norse mythology, right?
Yeah.
It's a big wolf from.
Yeah. Swallowed
And-
sun at Ragnarok.
Yeah, and Annika and 7 of 9 has Scandinavian ancestry, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
What's
that's
that?
interesting.
So I'm just going to have to make sure I'm correct about that. Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, and there was some again that was some nice world building, that when Picard was in that sector, sort of helping to set up that Romulan colony, that was a stable area of space, and then since then, things have degenerated a bit, and I quite liked that Picard was a little bit out of touch with his history of that area. Like, he hadn't kept track of what the current political situation was in that particular area of space. I thought that was cool.
Kind of like a Wild West area of space.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Frontier.
but I was not expecting that ending, and I was thrilled by it. I got to admit.
Yeah, it's just a great moment in Star Trek history, isn't it?
Definitely.
It only previously existed in fan fiction and comics, maybe. I mean, I imagine those characters have met before in books, and they must have in comics and things, but on screen, wow, so cool.
Yeah, I would even go so far as to say it might be one of the greatest endings of any Star Trek episode that I've ever seen.
Wow.
So cool.
Yeah, that is a big claim.
I know, but I've had like 3 glasses of wine, so I'm really enthusiastic. But I overall, I really enjoyed this episode, and it felt like, I don't know what you guys thought, but this felt a bit more standalone to me, although it was very much part of the overall story, because they, instead of going to Freehold or whatever it was they were going, they took a bit of a detour and had a sort of a 1-episode adventure on this Romulan colony, and it felt like an episode with a beginning and a middle and an end, whereas the first 3 episodes felt like they were part of sort of one big episode in a way.
Once again, it lends to the 3-part pilot.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And this felt like it was the start of almost like a new little adventure.
Cheeky little aside.
Yeah. But I just feel like after this episode we know a whole lot more about the Romulans than we did before. We've seen a lot more different Romulan haircuts. So
you are a fan of that, aren't you?
I was like, oh, there's the old style haircuts. Oh, there's a guy who doesn't have an old. There's a whole mixture of haircuts. Oh my word!
There was one thing I thought as we watched this episode, that this probably doesn't work, but I'm wondering what's the name of the Romulan warrior guy? Elgor? No, Algor.
Algor, yeah.
Algor. Thinking, because he seems like he's an orphan. He's being looked after by those nuns. I was thinking, what if he's the son of one of Nero from the 2009 Star Trek film?
Oh, okay.
Just a bit of.
No, that's too. No,
I know it's too sort
too
of.
much.
But I did think that's just yeah. I did wonder about that. But yeah, I think you're right. It would be a bit.
No, I don't. He was just an orphan boy that just
interestingly enough
fell into the right place.
Yeah.
One of my friends at work had a theory that the rough, tough renegade cigar smoking pilot could be maybe the son of Riker and Troy.
What? Because he's got a beard?
No, but because he's like a bit of a rogue, and he's sort of a secretive. But maybe it is just because he had a bit of a beard. But I don't think he's quite the right age. I think he's slightly too old.
Yes,
to be the son of Riker,
because
Also, Riker's more of a horny jazz man than a rogue, I would say.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, well, he doesn't have to be the
He's
son
not
of.
even that roguish, is he really?
But he does have a beard. But that guy doesn't even have to be the son of Riker and Troy. He could be the son of Riker and like 7 or 8 different women that Riker impregnated over the course of TNG. So maybe,
there could be little Rikers running around.
He could have nailed someone in season 1, and that's who he's the offspring of. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see.
But this episode was directed by Jonathan Frakes, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
Well, there you go then.
It's good.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
It's well directed, I thought. There wasn't any particular point where I kind of thought, excellent direction, Mr. Frakes.
Terrible direction, Mr. Frakes.
Yeah, but just the overall feel of it felt right. And I don't know. I think maybe a really well directed episode of TV is one that you sort of lose yourself in, and you don't find yourself stepping back and observing particular directing techniques or camera angles, because you're invested in it.
Exactly.
That's a successful piece of TV, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it ticks a lot of Star Trek boxes as well, doesn't it? So we have part of the story on the ship. There's an away mission, basically.
Yeah.
With some peril. It moves the story forward. The story's good. There's also there's a B plot which isn't that interesting, but in terms of the things that Star Trek is known for, I think this episode ticks a lot of those boxes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
When you put it like that, yes, it is a TNG episode, isn't it?
But it's been a really strong start to season 1. I've been thoroughly impressed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
As a bit of an aside, as we're actually recording this episode on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, guys! Actually,
happy Valentine's
Day, Rick.
I mean, there's nothing more romantic on Valentine's Day than talking about episode 4 of the new Star Trek Picard series on a Friday night with a few glasses of wine. But I was going to say, in the spirit of Valentine's Day, are there any characters that anyone here might be developing a little bit of a crush on in the new series? I mean, that's like there's always like when you watch a Star Trek series,
which one do I fancy?
Yeah, who am I into?
I know who you're into. Well, go on.
Yes, you do. It's the lovely blonde lady doctor. What's the name?
Okay.
No, not Tilly.
Not Tilly. Yeah, the
Girardi,
one who
Dr. Girardi.
Dr. Girardi.
I like her. I like her too. I would, if I had to pick anyone, it would be Dr. Girardi, because she just seems nice and kind of a bit. She's got a good sense of humor and a bit nerdy, and I don't know.
Yeah,
just approachable.
Super adorable.
Key to romance.
Yeah,
cute.
but
And she's
but also like really capable. Like she's a
little
leading.
bit pixie dream girl.
She is a little bit pixie dream girl. Yeah, you're right. A little bit kooky. But yeah, she does seem like she's come from the Tilly book of ditzy characters who are capable.
Yeah,
but yeah, I
she's
like
not
her.
quite as capable as Tilly. Tilly's got.
I don't know, like I don't think
she's like the leading scientist in her field. I think you'll find.
But I don't know, like Dr. Girardi doesn't kind of burst into a scene and sort of make it about her, I would say. Whereas Dr. Girardi is just an element of it.
She did a little bit.
I don't know, but
she did bust into that holodeck scene. She was like, "Oh, hi guys."
Is this a secret meeting, or am I technically part of the crew now?
Please, Dr. Girardi, join us.
Is this a private meeting?
Am I part of the crew now? What's going on? Who are you?
Hello,
Where am I?
I'm kooky.
That's a good point.
But I was like, Dr. Girardi, I love you.
Yeah, Dr. Girardi, I would say.
Send her a meeting request.
Yeah, I will do. What about for the ladies, Gemma? Do you like the roguish, beardy cigar chewing captain, or the sexy space elf, or maybe the older gentleman, Captain Picard, retired Admiral Picard, I should say. I mean, no pressure. You don't have to sort of pick one, and you have to go.
They're not. The rogue isn't roguish enough.
Okay.
The space elf is a child.
Oh. But he's an adult. He's an adult in the current.
He's a child.
Okay.
And
what about mature old Picard?
I'm afraid he has reached too far maturity for my taste.
Well, I'm sure there are plenty lady fans out there.
I'm sure there are. Of course there are.
Who are totally
when he was ever so slightly younger man, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I quite liked the battle hologram guy.
Oh, okay. What? Like the kind of the kind of drunk?
Right.
Was he Spanish or was he Mexican?
Or was he like Portuguese? I don't know. Something along those lines.
I liked his. I do question the efficiency of having an EMH who is
but he's only simulating it, isn't he? He's not actually drunk.
I guess you could say that. That's how he presents himself.
Why you would want that?
Yeah.
Why would that be a requirement?
Surely, in a battle situation, you want hologram Worf.
Yeah.
Surely.
Well, I don't know.
You could have him in the hologram bar. He could be the hospitality hologram.
That would be way more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, talking of Worf, I did like the line that Dr. Girardi had where she talked about there only being Klingon opera available music-wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the captain said, "Well, that's a long story."
Yeah.
I wonder what that story is. Maybe because it's
you have to buy the comic book spin-off issue 69. That will tell you. only $22.99 from Amazon.
Yeah,
going
back to the battlegram being a drunk Spanish guy. Again, I think that's an issue with the version of the software that the captain's got, and he can't be bothered to call tech support and say my battlegram is stuck in
listless
drunken Inigo Montoya.
We keep calling him Spanish. We don't know that for a fact, do we?
Yeah, no. It's casual racism, I guess.
yeah.
Cultural insensitivity, I like to call it. My
one of those two.
What you could say is like my battlegram is kind of like Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride, more drunk and beardy.
Cool,
why you don't know? What do you mean you don't? What's The Princess Bride? What's your film? And so on. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that element of it, I'm wondering what the thought process was for the writers going, how about all his holograms are him? Because I don't hate it, but I'm just wondering why they chose that for it.
I'm wondering if that was kind of meant to be funnier or sort of more fun than it's turned out to be.
I think it was.
Because like you, I don't hate it, but I'm a little bit bemused by it, I guess.
I think it was supposed to be funny. I mean,
yeah,
it isn't. It's kind of it isn't not funny. It's casually funny,
but it's not hilarious, is it?
No.
I wasn't rolling around on the floor. Look at this! They got another funny hologram. And he's
I want to have one that's dressed as a lady and is being a lady. Hello. I'm the one that does fills the drinks machine, and I'm a lady.
Because we've had an Irish. There's an Irish one who was. What did the Irish one do? Oh, what was he? Was he
navigation? The emergency navigation.
All right, yeah. So so we've got like an Irish accent is navigation. Spanish maybe.
Well, the Spanish one. Well, the actor is Chilean. What do they speak in Chile? Is that Spanish or Portuguese?
Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah.
So he's speaking Spanish.
So I mean, it makes sense that he can use his natural abilities to speak a language.
His innate natural abilities to speak Spanish.
I think this episode might be my favourite one so far, despite all of the criticising of the Borg cube storyline in this. I really loved everything else in the episode, and I just felt like it's really hit a nice rhythm now.
The pace is pleasing you now, is it?
I don't know. I still
think you're just going to have to get used to the fact that this is the pace.
I would like it to be a little pacier, I've got to admit, but I'm okay with it. And I
you know they're not going to get to Freehold until the final episode of this season.
Yeah, you're right. The next episode, there's going to be another. Picard's going to be like, "Well, I just thought we'd have another little detour and visit."
Got to visit. Oh, what's his face? Yeah,
Riker and Troy. Yeah, wherever they are.
I feel like once there'll be a point in the series where it will start to speed up. I think because it will have to, because the two storylines will cross over at some point, or there'll be characters in both. There'll be characters in the individual storylines that are connected more closely to each other, and that'll bring the two storylines together. I think that will happen sooner rather than later, because I think season 1 will probably end on a big cliffhanger. So for that to happen, you need most of your cast to sort of be interacting with each other for it to work to work that way. I think. Yeah. Because I think I feel like it's Soji's going to be under threat from Narek and his sister, because they're planning to kill her basically because they know what she is, but they're still sort of biding their time to make sure they fully know. They want to know where the others are.
Yeah, they want to know where the nest is, don't they?
They do.
I think they say.
So I think that'll maybe season 1 will just be the start of a much bigger story, which is great. But I can't wait. I am as much as the B story. This episode wasn't great. I do think there's a lot there to be uncovered. I'm really interested in what happened to those Romulans that got assimilated. Why that kind of why that messed up that cube for some reason. And that whole thing about that Romulan order that pre-existed the Tau Shiar and the hatred of artificial intelligence. That seems to be an old mystery. I'm wondering what that's going to be.
Yeah.
It seems to be mixed up with the prophecy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Destroyer. And I really like all that stuff. I'm intrigued by it, and I kind of want more of a step forward in that story.
No, they're just going to tease it all the way through, though.
I feel like by the end of season 1, though, we'll basically have most of our questions answered. But then I think, like you say, Rick, I think we might end up with a cliffhanger where it's kind of like, but now what? And then you're like, whoa. And that's how you're going to feel
exactly.
At the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking with emotion, speaking with candour. Absolute candour.
Candour and dribble.
As always, yeah. Quite a lot of dribble. I've been drinking. But yeah, I think should we wrap it up there, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for listening, and we will be back next week with another episode, hopefully, and hopefully Rick Epperson will be back as well. Yeah.
He's not. Yeah.
If he's not too poorly.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Do you realize how incredible this is?
It's tradition. You ever noticed her bum? What? Her bum.
Oh, no!
I will say
fewer things.
Okay. Enough of this self-indulgence.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, our website is www.lowerdecksradio.co.uk. You can reach us on the Twitters at 10Backward, 10 being the number and backward being the word backward. We're also on Facebook at www.facebook.com/10Backward podcast. You can also email us at crew@lowerdecksradio.co.uk. On a personal, individual level, my Twitter is @WiltHurland. Rick Everson's Twitter is @TrekFanRick. And Rick Palmer's Twitter is @Mr. Imhotep.
Hi, thank you again for listening to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you might consider supporting us. We now have a Patreon where people can pledge small amounts to fund our ongoing projects like keeping our website up to date, new audio equipment as we're going along, and potentially opportunities to expand our content. You can go look at this at patreon.com/lowerdecksradio. If you don't feel you can donate but would still like to support us, we would love it if you could subscribe to us on however you get your podcasts through